Good evening, everyone. My name is Siever, and I'd personally like to thank you for coming out and taking the time to hear all of our stories as well as mine. So starting off, I started life into wood and just being a craftsman kind of DIY person. But at the end of senior in high school, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, or anything. And I started talking to a cousin of mine, and he mentioned that he did industrial design, went here to Philadelphia University for that. And so I said that sounded like a lot of fun, so I came. And so at the beginning of my projects here at PhilaU, I stuck to what was comfortable to me. I stuck to wood, I stuck to rectilinear objects, and knowing subconsciously that in order to become a competent designer, I had to get outside of my comfort zone. So I went to Germany, a place I never have ever been to before. I don't speak the language, and this opened up my worldview to everything. I met other international students there and experienced multiple cultures. Being that the case, I did a project over there called Leaf, and it's a shelf that promotes curiosity, and the entire premise of the project was to display information for students there at the university for them to curiously walk and look through. So while I was there, everything was different. Everything about the project was different. I had to work in the metric system, something I'd never worked in before. I had to learn about materiality, and let me tell you what, ordering wood in German, it's a lot of fun. Especially if you don't speak the language. And also I worked with international students, and that helped me get out of my comfort zone because it allowed me to take on their perspective of things and understand their culture. So that entire bringing myself out of this comfort zone and being comfortable and confident in the uncomfortable really kind of was a turning point in my design. And so I feel that this project is really representative of that because I still was holding on to those tiny fragments of my comfort, but I started to explore that through the materiality of the wood. Speaking of materiality and exploration, I came back to the United States and took a class called Three-Dimensional Textiles, and in that class, I created Nest, which is a hanging knitted lounge chair. So the premise of Nest or Three-Dimensional Textiles, was to explore the world of textiles and understand how they were knitted together, what the different hands were, how was a knit versus a crochet, the size of the knit, all these different technical details I knew nothing about. So throughout the project, I developed different textiles through things like knitting, crocheting, and weaving. And along with a partner, we decided to go full scale ahead and try and make a knitted chair. And through this process, it wasn't just all exploration. We had a very defined view of what we wanted this to look like. So we were adding and dropping stitches. We were knitting with different size needles. And as you can see in some of the pictures above, they were big needles. They were PVC pipes, 5 foot long. One was, I think, 3 or 4 inches in diameter. And that was all purposely done to create the effect that we wanted. And this was the end result of that project. So this is the Nest. It's 100% hand knitted. And it was actually featured at the International Contemporary Furniture Fair and also the Philadelphia University Celebration of Innovation Gala in 2016. And I was really honored to be at both of those events. This project really kind of taught me about the materiality of objects and being able to explore and get even further outside my comfort zone, such as textiles, something I was not used to before. That leads me into PhilaU, which is an inverted measuring cup. So there's something about the exploration that I loved and held on to, but there's also this technical side of myself that I needed to get back in touch with. And so I found that in this project. So the entire premise of the project was to find a target market and then to design within that target market and target group. So the two companies that I found I was working in was Williams-Sonoma and Crate & Barrel, which are higher luxury brand housewares items. And the items I was designing within was measuring cups. So in those two stores, I found a market and a target gap. So this is my area of opportunity, a $30 area of opportunity. And the reason why it's $30 is because, as you can see, a lot of things fell at the $20 mark, and then a bunch of things jumped up to the $45, $50 mark. And through the research that I did, I found that people were wanting to get that higher end product but not pay that really premium price. And so that's where I came in with PhilaU, which is distinct measurements with an easy flip. This was made out of 2-part injection molded Triton plastic, which is common to many products. It has the look and feel of glass, but it's plastic, which allows it to be injection molded. Those two pieces would then be ultrasonically welded together, and then insert over molded in a TPV or Santoprene silicone, which is something that many OXO Goodfirst products also use. So again, I was in love with this technicality and the fine details of the market and the manufacturing, and I even brought that to as close to manufacturing as possibly could, and found doing some of these drawings really helped the manufacturers understand what I was trying to get at. And so I found through my research that there's 5 different colorways, and so these colorways I added into my design. All these things kind of culminate in my capstone project, which as you can see is in development. And my capstone project is a chalk dispersion system for deep water soloing. You may be asking yourself, what's deep water soloing? So deep water soloing is a niche sport of rock climbing, and what it is, it's climbing over a body of water without being attached to the surface in any way, except for your own abilities. Now, there's really important factors of, the rock climbing is considered one of the purest sports, specifically this one because there's lack of gear involved, but this lack of gear is even more reduced because of the water. And so through talking with people who have gone deep water soloing, they said that they had a consistent problem with dealing with their chalk. And chalk is really important to climbing because it enhances your performance and allows you to maximize your grip on that surface. So the problem with chalk, you fall in the water, it gets wet, it's toast. You can't use it again. Your chalk bag, which is what's currently on the market, also toast. You can't use it again, it takes around 2 days to dry. And currently on the market, there's nothing that solves the problems these deep water solars are using. So that's where I come in, and this is my capstone. So I've been doing lots of testing, and I'm trying to seal off the bag, trying to find new ways of making the chalk dispense to the user. And currently, I'm kind of in the stage of prototyping and testing, and I'm slowly coming up with this idea of a squeezable textile chalk bag hybrid thing that would, in my best abilities, would seal the water off and allow the deep water soloer to gain access to the chalk easily, quickly, and not have to worry about it getting wet while going through the different steps of deep water soloing. So you might be wondering how those other projects kind of come in, culminated. Well, in my time with Germany, I was forced to work in uncomfortable environments. And I think that really pushed me towards the capstone because I've never gone deep water soloing. It looks kind of like fun, but I've never done it. And so that uncomfortability and being comfortable and confident in that was something that led up to this project. Also, the materiality of the knitted chair led into the capstone project because textile is something I had never worked in before. And so, being that the case, it led me to soft goods and chalk bags, something I had never looked into before. And the manufacturability of the measuring cup was something that I also funnels into the capstone because of the technical details that are going to be needed later on in the development process of how is this bag made, how can it be made to market price, what's the demographic, where will it be sold, all these different things. So these are some of the insights that I've gained from my past projects and my time here at Philadelphia University as an industrial designer, and are placing them and funneling them all into my final capstone project. So my name is Siever, and I'd like to thank you all again for listening to my story.